I've been running my social media marketing agency for the last 7 years now. Those 7 years have been honestly ups and downs, as you guys know. Probably you have maybe experienced a similar story. You have time where it's going extremely well. You have other times where you have to adjust things. My whole story started with offering Instagram growth services, and eventually I started, as you know, those kind of tools where you could automate Mass Planner, Jarvee, Follow Liker. It used to be very popular back in the days. So I was able to leverage those sort of platforms and eventually provide results for clients. I was able to sign up as a seller on Fiverr, start offering the services, and it quickly escalated to a really large number of orders that were coming from Fiverr, approximately 800 to 900 clients that I was having on a monthly basis. And then 2019, a lot of things have shifted in this industry, and it honestly gave me a lot of questions whether if I want to continue my social media marketing agency or not. And I tried to differentiate. I tried to stop and offering consulting, offering courses, offering memberships. And honestly, you know, guys, like, I've tried many things, and I can tell you at the end of the day, you have to follow what makes you happy and what you enjoy doing the process. When you're selling the courses, when you're selling the memberships, it all looks good in one place. Yes, you're getting people buying your courses, buying your programs, and you basically sell them a transformation, right? But then once they start to get into your course, the programs, eventually they get demotivated, they get pressured, and they just kind of like lose the motivation, and eventually some of them execute your strategies and some people just don't do anything. So at the end of the day, I was able to get back to my agency, and I tried different services in the meantime in 2020, and eventually in 2021 I came back to the strategy which I was mainly focusing. I was able to restructure a lot of operations, and I'm always transparent about how I do things on Instagram. If you probably not seen maybe this video, but the operations, it's pretty insane, and everything right now, all the services that I offer for our clients, their Instagram, of course, all the interactions are done on the actual phones. So it's honestly something that, I would say a lot of people maybe will not jump into it because it looks complex, it looks not as sexier, than compared to running ads, but it still works. It works, it brings results, and at the end of the day, if you're passionate about something, you will be able to find those solutions, right? So, and of course, when we're talking about those solutions, most of my stuff, when I was looking at other people, how they're doing social media marketing agency, of course, I look at their niches, real estate, helping chiropractors, helping doctors, and then running Facebook ads. And I was like, wow, maybe this should be my thing. This should be something that I should be focusing. But then at the end of the day, I realized that this is not something I'm really passionate about. And that's not what I leveraged in the beginning, because when you work with a lot of clients and you eventually have to stick to those relationships, right? Because when you're working with someone and then eventually you stop working with that person, not because they don't like your service, but just because you had to stop your operations, doesn't mean that they not interested anymore. So they might be interested again in the future, and that's why it's good to keep those relationships with your clients and eventually ask them what they need help else with, and maybe you can build other ideas, other strategies. So the reason why I'm talking about this is I want for you to understand that I think in 2023 it's going to be not a lot of changes in SMMA industry, because you always see that people are coming and things like, yeah, I have this amazing program, I have this amazing product or course, whatever, right? But then at the end of the day, it's all about the same stuff. We have Facebook ads, we have not only Facebook ads. I think a lot of people, when they think about SMMA, they think it's only Facebook ads, but there is a lot of services that you can offer besides that. And that's also applies to content management, content creation. I think this is something that I started shifting more, and I realized that there is also a lot of potential there. So when I go, for example, if you take a look at my profile, I do have a lot of services on Fiverr that are listed, and I started my content creation gig again. And this gig is a bit different. Yes, it still needs time to have like leverage and results, but what I can see is I was able to build a system where I'm not really going and creating content like taking pictures, but I'm using the theme for specific accounts. I'm developing the theme for them, and eventually, for example, as you can see here, I'm basically structuring their content around the theme and then around their niche as well. And this what could be scalable, because there is a lot of templates like this. There is a lot of ways that you can also get those presets and customize them for each client. So this is also for your idea, because you can do this, and you know, we're talking about per profit pretty much here, right? Okay, you need to buy some templates, you need to do some work in, let's say, Canva or Photoshop, right? But at the end of the day, you are using your own time, or you can train someone who will do that for you, right? So let's say you have your content editor, content manager, who you can train to do those kind of things. So this is one types of services that I want you to look into it, because in 2023, if you look at the social media profiles, Instagram, people need always content. Like, this is just very common sense. They need to help with content, need to create those pictures. And I see when I do develop these kind of themes for clients, at the end of the day, they're running ads, and this is what works really well, and this is what brings as well results to them in the long term. So this is definitely a good service to look at, and in 2023, it's going to be still there. Yes, Reels is always there, but it's much harder to, I would say, manage Reels and do this for the client. There is another approach which we can look at, and if you've seen Alex Hormozy, right? So he's creating those kind of reels where you are recording yourself and then you add those captions, those sort of infographics, right? So this is one of the things that you can do, of course. And this is more difficult, but you can charge higher ticket, right? So for my kind of content structure, I'm charging not a very high prices, but also I'm not doing any posting. I'm sending them the ready to go post, right? For these kind of things, you can really develop a strategy where you can sell it as a high ticket, or sell it to people who really pushing their personal brand, who you know that they have opportunity to invest into their personal brand and have a better content. So this is another strategy that you can offer. And of course, besides that, you can also do Instagram growth, right? So there are, obviously, it's a different types of operations that you have to build, because right now, for example, if we're speaking about the service I offer for clients, it's done by following and following people. Yes, it's a very old school strategy. Many people will say like, this doesn't work anymore. This is something that's been like in the past already. But I will tell you that it still brings results. At the end of the day, I'm not, let's say, super pumped about the follow-on-follow strategy, but what I've noticed that our people who I'm working with, it brings them connections. At the end of the day, it's much harder to grow these days, right? Yes, you have to post reels consistently, but most of the people just can't keep up with the consistency of that, because they need to always create content. And if you work with people who are busy, who are running their business, they just don't really have time for that, or they need to hire someone who is going to be besides them and do those kind of reels. So this service, follow and follow, it's good because they don't need to post. They can post if they want to. If they don't want to, they don't need to post, but it will still bring them those connections. They can still gain between 150 to 600 people per month, which is a really good, to be honest, because you're getting more people. And the clients, the buyers, they know the reality. They know that it's not as it was before in those days where you can gain like thousands of people every single month. It's because of the limits. Limits are much stricter. We can't really use any more of those tools like we used before, so we have to do this manually on the phones. And I know there is out there, let's say, Instagram growth brands which are doing this with the VAs, let's say in the Philippines, in India, or in somewhere in like Macedonia, right? So there are people who are doing this manually. The problem with the manual, it's always comes up to be, if you're an agency owner, the costs are going to be pretty insane, and then the management as well is just needs to be a really high level. At the end of the day, you're providing this kind of service and you're relying on the phones, you're relying on the Instagram as well, you have to update the phones as well at the end of the day, right? So there is a lot of operational costs which involves it. When you come up to your own solution, tax solution, or if you come up with let's say someone who does that, who you know, who offers an agency program, and I'm going to be probably also teaching you a little bit about that, because I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and also on the infrastructure that we build, I think there is a lot of potential for many agency owners to use the leverage, to use the system, because at the end of the day, my goal is to help you as well to potentially either build a new let's say, income source of your agency or a new service that you can offer. So I think this could be an interesting going forward, and I'll be happy to kind of like go more in detail or how you can leverage as well the infrastructure that we have here. So I think this will be very, very powerful. So at the end of the day, when we look at those services like Instagram growth, which will be very big still in 2023, content management, we need to understand that still you need to do the outreach, right? And I want to show you the Meta Business Suite here. As you can see, this has a really big potential because they've been updating this in the last few weeks. I always see the new updates, and you can see that they are actually doing this at another level. So what I mean by that is that you can have your conversation with clients, right? And that's why I think this is such a huge opportunity for 2023, because at the end of the day, we need to do outreach. We need to reach out to clients, we need to reach out to them, and you can be reaching out to them through emails, through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through TikTok, through Twitter, right? But at the end of the day, if you're offering social media marketing services, most of the people are still going to be on Instagram. If you're doing especially Instagram services, it's logical to reach out to them on Instagram. And the Instagram has become, I would say, a very powerful communication tool this year, and is going to be keep improving and improving in the next year. So I will definitely have your Instagram as a really great funnel where you can, of course, you need to showcase yourself a little bit more. You showcase your content, showcase some value you have on your account, and then you need to use it for outreach, for reaching out to people, and you have to test because, at the end of the day, you need to have clients. You need to have more people that you're reaching out. You need to have those connections as well, and you need to do this by just sitting there and connecting with new people every single day and having the structure where you can follow up with them as well. So with the Meta Business Suite here, with the messenger that they have, the biggest thing that you can do is that you can have those labels of the conversations, right? So you can have those labels which you can create, and then at the end of the day, for example, I have a label where I'm reaching out to someone, right? And then I put them in the reach out label. So when I click on that label, I can see all the conversation that I reached out, and then eventually that tells me that, okay, if they didn't reply, I need to follow up. If they replied, I'm putting them in a different label which I have, which called discussing. This is not label, right? So then they are discussing. So that means we're talking, they're having questions, I'm explaining what I can do for them. And then afterwards, I have a label once they're ready to go. I have a label either free trial offer. That means I'm offering them a free trial if they're interested. And then they can go for it, and then eventually I'm running that free trial for them. And then after that, I'm converting them to the paid. Or if they're ready to go, I'm sending them in invoice, right? And I'm putting this in the label of send invoice, right? And then I always track those labels. So eventually when I click on the send invoice, I'm then going and seeing and following up with them to see if they have accepted the invoice, if they have signed up or not, and then I'm following up with them. I think this is one of the best strategies these days because, first of all, it's on Instagram. Second, if has a very high open rates, very high as well response rate when you're doing this on Instagram. And at the end of the day, you can be creative. You can send them a short video, you can send them voice message as well. There's a lot of ways how you can do this the smart way. Be careful not to spam in the first message. You don't need to send like a very long message the first and then saying like I can do this, I can do that. Try to give them some value, because for me, like when eventually things have really started to go in the bad direction on Fiverr and I lost pretty much all of my clients, what I did, I was using my Instagram and I was just reaching out to like 20, 30 people every single day, doing some sort of value, recording some videos, giving some value about their account. They were getting back. I was signing up them in the free trial, and then eventually I was converting them to the paid client, right? But it worked. Yes, it's not the best sort of task to do, but you have no choice. You either have to do it yourself, and then when you build a system and you know how to scale the system, you can have people who can do this for you, right? Those people who are closing. And then eventually you can also offer this kind of service, right? You can structure this whole funnel for your clients and you can do the conversation. But this is, I would say, a very next level. So if you're running your SMMA, if you're starting a social media marketing agency, probably this is not the best way to just offering this kind of service. It's better to use other people who are giving you some sort of like a white label to leverage, or you can use the content structure, content management services, or you can go into the Reels, for example, which is more advanced, right? Or you can do just the manual growth. You can just manually grow accounts and do things like that. So there is a lot of different ways, but this outreach system is just insane, and I think it will get better next year especially. So invest your time on Instagram. You don't need to post yourself every single day, but just try to make sure you have a complete profile. When people come to you, they see that you're a person, you're an expert, you have some sort of valuable posts, valuable videos, and at the end of the day, that's what will make people want to work with you, right? Even if you use your Instagram and you showcase a little bit about yourself, what you do, that will attract more people as well to work with you. So guys, I hope this was useful. Please let me know what you think in the comments. At the same time, I'm really excited to continue kind of like showing you more behind the scenes of what I'm doing. I really enjoying this YouTube journey. It's been kind of like as well inspiring for me to start it. I spent many years in that, and I'm excited to just kind of like be more transparent and help other people who are running their social media marketing agencies or doing, because I'm doing it a bit differently in my opinion. Like my service is not, I'm not offering Facebook ads, things that I'm having a different approach. So maybe some people who are already doing those Facebook ads and other things could leverage as well what I can help you as well. So thank you so much. Feel free to check out the newsletter that I'm writing as well. It's linked in the description. And also if you want to have, let's say, chat with me or have any questions, you can always leave the comments, or you can just send me a DM on Instagram. I'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.